what is the difference between money and currency? Okay, money എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് is something that is of value, and currency is merely the representation. It's like a pointer to the address, okay, which you use to exchange between yourselves, right? Now, what is money ennulladinu thanne there are two schools of thought. Now, I have spent almost 5,000 hours on YouTube and other places reading about this thing. And I don't want to repeat the same nonsense that you would find in any other presentation. So let me just tell you what my understanding of Bitcoin is at this point of time. Right? Essentially, there are two schools of thought about what money is. One, it is the monetarist school or the metalist school. And the other one is the chartalist school. Chartalist school ennu paranjale, it is merely something that is established by charter or fiat. If we all agree that this particular thing is money, then it is money. Okay? This is what governments do. Fiat currency is a kind of charterless money. Fiat currency is what is fiat? There is a car called the fiat car, right? That is an Italian word. But what is fiat? I don't know, if you've read in the Bible, there is a phrase called fiat lux, let there be light. Fiat is by decree. Okay, the government decrees that this piece of paper is worth something, that you can pay debts with it. So only one person is allowed this monopoly, and that is the government. So that is what fiat currency is, whether it's the rupee, the dollar, the real, the dirham, the won, yuan, whatever. That is what fiat currency is. Okay? The other one is the school of thought called the metalist or the commodity school, where they say that money must be something which is useful in its own right. For example, salary ennulla vaakku evidunna vanna? Salary ennulla vaakku vannathu is from salarium. Salarium is the Latin word for salt, and Roman soldiers were paid in blocks of salt. Okay, and so that is how the word salary came, from salt, because you could use salt for other things also. Essentially, in the metalist school, so what happens is you need some common commodity which you can exchange. There's something called the coincidence of wants. If you have say 5 chickens and I have 15 coconuts, and you need 15 coconuts and I need 5 chickens, we can probably make an exchange. But suppose you don't need the same number of coconuts, or I don't need the same number of chickens or whatever. It becomes very hard to do trade between each other. Adapam എൻ്റെ കയ്യിലുള്ളത് എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ മിച്ചമുള്ളത് എനിക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും കൊടുക്കാൻ താല്പര്യമുള്ളതും നിങ്ങളുടെ കയ്യിൽ അധികമുള്ളത് എനിക്ക് തരാൻ താല്പര്യമുള്ളത്, എനിക്കത് വേണം എന്നുള്ളൊരു സാഹചര്യം എല്ലാം കൂടി ഒരുമിച്ച് സംഭവിക്കണമെങ്കിൽ അത് വളരെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായിരിക്കും. അതിനെയാണ് കോയിൻസിഡൻസ് ഓഫ് വോൺസ്, WANTS, വോൺസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഈ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് ഒഴിവാക്കാനായിട്ട് ആൾക്കാർ പല പല കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഉപയോഗിച്ചു. അതായത് ഒരു തേങ്ങയ്ക്ക് ഇത്ര എന്തെങ്കിലും XYZ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു കോഴിക്ക് ഇത്ര XYZ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് നമ്മൾ ഇത്ര ഔൺസ് ഇരുമ്പ് അല്ല ഇത്ര ഔൺസ് സ്വർണം എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് ഏറ്റവും കൺവീനിയൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ആൾക്കാർ യൂസ് ചെയ്ത കറൻസി സിൽവറാണ്. പക്ഷെ കുറേ സിൽവർ സ്റ്റോർ ചെയ്യണം. ഗോൾഡ് ആണെങ്കിൽ it is like storing a huge amount of value in a little quantity. So eventually gold became the most common currency used in the history of mankind. Okay, that is why many people, especially in the Austrian school of economics, refer to it as the gold standard. Okay, so that is the metalist school, which says that money must have a value of its own. Okay, it should have a value of its own, independent of the goods it is exchanged for. The chartalist school says that whatever we all agree as money is money. If the government of any country takes a perfectly useful commodity called paper and takes another perfectly useful commodity called ink and puts them together to make a perfectly useless commodity called currency, then if we all agree that that is of value, then it becomes of value. Now people are making a big fuss about the crisis in Greece. അവർക്കെന്തോ 300 billion euros എന്തോ ആണ് കടമുള്ളത്. The US government has $17 trillion in കടം. ഗ്രീസ് താഴെ പോയാൽ ഒന്നും സംഭവിക്കത്തില്ല. US government will go down, the dollar will collapse. നിങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഫോറിൻ കറൻസി വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്നവരൊക്കെ okay? Yes. The US has debts to foreign countries and others. See, നമ്മളെ നാഷണൽ സേവിങ് സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ്സ് മേടിക്കുമല്ലോ, പിന്നെ പ്രോവിഡന്റ് ഫണ്ട്, ഇതൊക്കെ ഇതൊക്കെ ഇന്ത്യൻ ഗവൺമെന്റ് നമ്മൾ കടം കൊടുക്കുക. ഇവന്മാരെ നോട്ട് അടിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക. I told you, only one person has the right to print money in a country, in the monopoly, and that is the government or the Reserve Bank of that country or whatever. Okay? So basically, when the government prints more money to cover up its budget deficit or its financial deficit, what it is essentially doing is it is counterfeiting its own currency. Do you understand? Inflation is nothing but government counterfeiting its currency. There is more currency chasing fewer goods. Ipa, for example, projector say oru 50,000 rupees aanu vecho. നാളെ ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ 50,000 rupees ഉണ്ട്, ഇത് നിങ്ങളുടെയാണ്, ഞാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് 50,000 rupees ഒന്ന് മേടിക്കുന്നു. നാളെ എനിക്ക് ഒരു പ്രൊജക്ടറും കൂടെ വേണം, ഞാൻ വെറുതെ ഒരു 50,000 കൂടെ പ്രിന്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് നിങ്ങളുടെ അടുത്ത് വന്നാലേ will there become another projector? Somebody has to make a projector. It doesn't exist. You can print as much as you want. You can say that I am worth 5 rupees. You can say that I am worth 50 billion rupees. It doesn't matter. It is merely a representation. So every time somebody prints money without there being real goods and services to back it, that person is committing fraud against you. This is slow and insidious and you do not realize it. Okay? Bitcoin, now here is the thing about Bitcoin. This is supported by a lot of people who believe in the free market, like me, free market capitalists. Now the problem with this is, this goes counter to the school of thought of economics, which is the most fierce supporter of capitalism, called the Austrian School of Economics. They believe in the metalist concept, that gold or some other commodity must be the basis of money. It should back money. അതായത് ഞാൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് 5 രൂപ എഴുതി, suppose the price of gold is 24 lakhs per kilogram. If I write you 5 rupees, if I give you a check of 5 rupees or something, it should be worth an equivalent quantity in gold. And if you give me that piece of paper, I should be able to give you that commodity in gold. Okay? That is the general understanding. Till 1913, the US government was based on gold. And then they came up with the Federal Reserve. And in 71, they took it off the gold standard. And that was when Nixon said, we are all Keynesians now. John Maynard Keynes is the biggest fraudster on the planet. He is a god man to whom all the governments go and suck up to him because they want to commit a fraud on their people. അവർക്ക് അതിനുള്ള വിവരവും മോറൽ അതോറിറ്റി ഇല്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് they go to this Oxford educated PhD crook. Okay, and you just print everything and they say, oh, കുഴപ്പമില്ല. And they talk about Wall Street and inflationary growth and all that. Krugman, Paul Krugman is a Nobel Prize winner who is another, he should be called a crookman, because he is another fraudster, and they all help these central bankers who counterfeit the currency and steal the wealth from the common population. It is always easy to blame it on somebody who has made the wealth through innovation or honest means, and the easiest person who does that is a businessman. So they will blame all the top capitalists in the world. Eventually the capitalists know to survive, they also have to bribe the politicians, which is what the politicians want. You understand? Anyway, that is politics. We'll go into that later. So the Austrian School of Economics also has a problem with Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? I have not started even talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, people say, is a decentralized currency. It is this, it is that. Okay, there's a lot to talk about, and you will read the same things on the internet, which I can tell you now, and there is no point in my doing that. I'll tell you my understanding of Bitcoin as of now. Okay? It may change tomorrow, but I'll give you my summary. Essentially, it is just a common register. Now, imagine you and I have an account in, say, State Bank of India or State Bank of Travancore, and you transfer, say, 50 rupees to me. So what happens? There is a central database, correct? In the database, may I know your name please? Huh? Labib. So in that database it is mentioned that Labib has transferred say 5 rupees to Sanjay George. So his balance is deducted by 5 rupees and my balance is increased by 5 rupees. Correct? Now, if you or I have access to the database, we can twist it. Correct? We can increase your balance or my balance, or we can increase the amount you transfer to me. Or both of us can take money from Kenny and put it to our balance. I mean, we can do a lot of mischief. Right? But suppose everybody has a copy of the same ledger. Every customer has a copy. It's not going to be that easy. Similarly, that's all, and you've heard of, that's all Bitcoin really is. It's just a ledger. Okay? Now, suppose, for example, in this ledger, how do we determine how you transfer 5 rupees to me? There has to be some way, right? So, in this ledger, you have something, it's like an email. Just think of Bitcoin as email, that's all. People say Bitcoin is the internet of money, so many things. These are grand statements to promote Bitcoin. Okay, this is very sad because it's like, I don't know how many of you remember when object-oriented programming first became the norm. People used to use these pictures of dogs and animals, cats and animals and whatever to show polymorphism and things like that. It's very misleading actually. Okay, so sometimes people make pop versions. What is pop? Like popular. Okay, so there are books like for economics and things like that which you need to cater to the masses, but some of the examples are slightly misleading at times. And then there are these serious books which are boring and nobody wants to read them. Okay, now when it comes to Bitcoin, have you heard of BitTorrent and things like that, where we all seed and send to each other? Okay, it's a bit like that. Only difference is that of all the seeders in Bitcoin, whom for reasons of convenience they called miners, M-I-N-E-R-S, because these are the people who eventually get the gold or the money. So they have this image of a pickaxe and mining. Okay, this is again misleading metaphor and it gives you all the wrong ideas. Okay, it's just a wrong term to use for the people who do the processing or the hashing. We'll come to that later. So there is a network of computers which communicate with each other and everybody kind of syncs with each other and everybody has an idea that this is the latest ledger record. This ledger record is called the blockchain. That's what it is. Why is it a chain? Because every 10 minutes they make a block of all the records and hash it into one block. And then they add the next, after 10 minutes they add the next block to it. So it becomes a long chain like a tapeworm. Okay, that's why it's called a blockchain. Now, this is how the record keeping is kept. Okay, now how is it managed? How do we know if Labib has sent me 5 rupees? See, assume you have an email, right? Assume you have an email and you send me an email. Suppose he wants to send me an email. He just has to write my address, Labib to Sanjay, and the message, and I get it. Correct? Now, nobody else will see that. Imagine that we are using an email service where all of you are in CC or BCC. So everybody knows that he has sent me 5 rupees. Right? Automatically you will all go to your record, your Excel sheet and deduct 5 rupees from his credit and put 5 rupees to my credit. Okay? Now the password he uses is equivalent to his private key. Okay? And the email address he uses is equivalent to his public key. Now to use this to send money, there's a process which is not possible by a human being, so you have software for it. You call this software wallets. Okay, so he can have several private keys and corresponding public keys, and from any of those he can send it to me. Okay, similarly I can also send to others or receive from others. That's all it is. A collection of private keys and public keys together in a software which can manage it is called a wallet. And the blockchain is nothing but a global repository of all the records of all the transactions ever made in Bitcoin. Now here's the funny thing. Libertarians are basically liberals in the rest of the world. In America, the term liberal has been hijacked by the left. So the term of those who are free market capitalists they have started to use the word libertarians, so it is libertarian. They are usually supporters of the Austrian school. So this Bitcoin has led to a split in the community. Those who are of the monetarist camp who say that you must have something of value like gold, and those who are of the chartlist school who say that anything that we all agree is money. In this case, Bitcoin. Presently it is worth around $270 per Bitcoin. Right? Here's the funny thing. People who are libertarians hate the Keynesian school or the chartlist school. Okay? But Bitcoin is actually fiat currency. It is a crowdsourced fiat currency, not a central bank government determined fiat currency. And almost all fiat currencies, because any government can declare it and print it forever, is inflationary. By inflationary, I mean you can keep increasing the supply. Bitcoin by design is deflationary. Therefore, Bitcoin is a deflationary, crowdsourced fiat currency. Okay? Technically speaking, it is Keynesian heresy. You know what heresy is? Heresy is when you say something against the established beliefs of a religion. And if you think of Keynesian economics as a religion, Bitcoin is actually Keynesian heresy. So essentially, this is like using your enemy's religion to defeat him. Okay? And you can think of Bitcoin as something like Darth Vader. If you know Star Wars, Darth Vader was the greatest Sith Lord ever to exist, and he eventually is the reason for the destruction of the Sith. The Sith are the evil in Star Wars, and the Jedi Knights are the good guys. So this is what Bitcoin is, as far as I can understand. And as far as I believe that this is the currency of the future. This will be used for not only payments between humans, but in the Internet of Things, from machine-to-machine communications. Like I believe in the future human beings will not work except for exercise and maybe mental work. And there is a good chance that I may have an array of machines which will communicate with your machine slaves, and they may pay each other with some cryptocurrency, not necessarily Bitcoin. But this is something you should definitely look at if you haven't looked at it yet. I would recommend that you do not dismiss it as a fad. Okay? And yes, and that's it. I'll take questions. Thank you.
Any possible attempts to make currency, common one for the world?
Bitcoin is going to destroy the nation state itself. Forget currencies. There will be no India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China. They're all finished. It's just Bitcoin. Okay, that's a slightly more technical question. I'm not exactly equipped to answer it, but I'll give you my understanding of it. Right? See, essentially, like this is this 5 rupee transaction from Labib to Sanjay, right? And there could be so many transactions. And when you add all this, there is something called the SHA 127 or 26, I'm not sure. There's one encryption methodology used for this, and you crunch it and hash it into, it's got incredible compression abilities, and you make it to one hash. And so basically everybody has to have the same copy of the list of transactions, okay? And everybody will get the same final hash answer in the end. Now what happens is, there is a mathematical puzzle kind of twist added to it. In addition to this hashing, you need to find one more number which will prove that this answer is correct. And usually only one person, somebody will come up with it very soon, within every 10 minutes. So the first person to come up with, you remember in school we used to have, the maths teacher will put a problem on the screen, and the first person to come up with an answer gets brownie points. If you for 4th class, 5th class, we used to do this, right? The answer is always, teacher, very good. Very good. Remember that? So something like that. So if you are the proof of work, proof of work is hash number. This answer CPU processing. കറങ്ങി, somebody has to find the answer. Some lucky fellow's machine has found the answer. അപ്പോൾ ആ മെഷീൻ, ആ പ്രോസസ്സർ, ആ CPU മെനക്കെട്ട് കുത്തിയിരുന്ന് വർക്ക് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് എന്ത് പ്രൂഫ് അവൻ ആദ്യം കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചെന്നുള്ളത്? അവൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ ആൻസർ, അവൻ്റെ കയ്യിലാണ് കറക്റ്റ് കീ കിട്ടുന്നത്. അതാണ് പ്രൂഫ് ഓഫ് വർക്ക്. അപ്പം അവൻ പറയും എല്ലാവരും, അണ്ണന്മാരെ എനിക്ക് കിട്ടിയ ആൻസർ കേട്ടാ. അപ്പം ബാക്കിയുള്ള പാർട്ടീസ് എല്ലാം വിഷമിച്ച് അവന് ഇരുന്നാൽ ശരി പണ്ടാരം 25 ബിറ്റ് കോയിൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കും. 2140 AD ഇത് അവസാനം 0 ആവുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, അടുത്ത വർഷം മുതൽ ഐ തിങ്ക് എല്ലാ 10 മിനിറ്റും എന്തോ 12.5 ബിറ്റ് കോയിനേ കിട്ടത്തുള്ളൂ. എല്ലാ 4 വർഷവും ഇങ്ങനെ ഹാഫ് ആയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കും. ഓക്കെ, സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൺ റിവാർഡ്. പിന്നെ ലബീബ് എനിക്ക് 5 രൂപ അയച്ചല്ലോ. അപ്പം അതിനകത്ത് ഒരു 0.05 പൈസയോ എന്തോ ചെറിയൊരു തുക he has to pay to the pool of all miners for sending that money to me. Okay, so when he sends that small amount of Bitcoin to them, all transactions in the collection will become the payment paid to that one fellow who won the lottery. So that is also added to the 25 Bitcoins. Even if that 25 is not there or it is there, it doesn't matter, because we can predict how much the money supply will increase. I have the files with me, but there's a little coordination problem I had. But if you look at any country, whether England, US, India, the amount of money currency supply has gone up huge. By that I mean that suppose note, how many 100 rupee notes do you think there are in the world today? Let us assume X. Say till 2007 or 8, there was a certain amount. Now there are more than 4x or 5x as many notes alone in currency. Now forget the digital currency that has been issued by the governments. Okay, and ഇതിന് quantitative easing എന്നൊക്കെ പറയും. സത്യം പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇത് സർക്കാരിൻ്റെ ഫ്രോഡാണ്. This is what the US Federal Reserve is doing. This is what the Reserve Bank of India is doing. This is what the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, every bloody person, especially the Bank of Japan, everybody is doing this. This is called currency wars. Currency war is when we compete to devalue our currency. We both compete to devalue our currency so that we can boost exports. If I devalue my currency, my exports become cheaper and my country's industries benefit. But this is very stupid. This is like saying that ഞാൻ വിൽക്കുന്ന പ്രോഡക്ട്സിൻ്റെ വാല്യൂ കുറയ്ക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത്. കുറച്ച് ഐ വിൽ ഹാവ് ലെസ് വാല്യൂ ടു ഗെറ്റ് ഫ്രോം യു ഓൺലി. സി വൈ ഡു വി എക്സ്പോർട്ട്? ഏതോ കഴുത എക്കണോമിസ്റ്റിൻ്റെ GDP ഫിഗേഴ്സ് ബൂസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടാണോ? വി എക്സ്പോർട്ട് സോ ദാറ്റ് വി ഹാവ് മണി ടു ബൈ ഫ്രം സംബഡി എൽസ്. വേറെ ആമ്പിള്ളേർ കഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയ സാധനം മേടിക്കാനായിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ കഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട് ജോലി ചെയ്യുന്നത്. You understand? But these Keynesian morons with all their PhDs in economics, they want to show all these GDP figures and all that nonsense, foreign exchange ratio, the exports increase 10%, all that. Who cares? The people of your country are getting poorer. So this is called the currency wars. And this Keynesian economics is a sickness which has infected everybody from the IMF, the World Bank, you name it. Yes. That is a free market exchange. Bitcoin you cannot dream of regulating it. And it is, in a truly free market, the value of a good is determined merely by the perception of the buyer. If you think it is worth $500, you should pay $500. If you think it is worth $5, you should pay $5. In both cases, you should find a person willing to sell it to you at the price you are happy at. So it is like the stock market. There is a share price. You can offer to sell it. I think at present it is worth $270. You can offer to buy it at $265. പൈസയ്ക്ക് ആവശ്യമുള്ള ചിലപ്പോൾ വിൽക്കും. You can offer to sell it at $275. Bitcoin ആവശ്യമുള്ള മേടിക്കും. The market determines the best price, best seller, buyer price, whatever. Sorry. Volatility is there, of course. It is a new commodity. The digital commodity, yes. Volatility is there because you are measuring it in terms of dollar, right? Because or dollar or rupees or whatever. We are so used to believing in this magic money called fiat currency that even this is fiat currency, to be honest. right? That we cannot imagine thinking in any other way. We are such well-conditioned, brainwashed robots of what is called the nation state, which will be obliterated by this currency very soon. It will exist with its armies and its soldiers and things like that, and its believers and things. But generally, it is going to be bypassed. Bitcoin is perfect if you have lot of black money to launder.
Currently, the most valuable currency will be the dollar, right?
Go on.
Most valuable, stable,
Yeah.
and that is because of. I believe that it's because U.S. has the most gunpowder,
You are correct. You are very correct.
and so the value of the currency essentially goes back to the gunpowder of whoever who backs it.
The value of a paper currency. Gold doesn't give a damn how much guns you have, as long as the enemy doesn't know.
Whatever it is. So currently Bitcoin is under the radar. The countries are not really bothered with it because the volume is really low.
Mm.
But in a stage when the transactions become sizable enough, these countries or these vested interests could easily take over it or maybe ban it. It looks like what happened to PayPal in India.
Mm.
PayPal is a very easy means of doing transactions,
Mhm.
almost like Bitcoin.
Mhm.
But then government started bringing in regulations when they saw that PayPal transactions are quite high in numbers.
You are saying that yes, you are saying that the government will try to regulate or ban Bitcoin. Yes, you are correct. They will try.
It's almost like government can say that whoever owns Bitcoin is a black money holder.
Yes, but that is true most of the times.
Yeah, but then putting people in jail and how this currency survive.
They will try. They will fail.
Then how can you dogmatically say that? The answer is question.
What is his question?
His question is that the government can actually put a cap on.
Government can't do anything. Government will try and make a fool of itself.
This is actually just okay. You are not giving the rationale. Okay, he has got a valid question, and it is a question which is actually.
He has.
I'm actually
I think I answered his question.
afraid of guns.
Yeah.
You shouldn't go around telling people you have Bitcoin. Okay, you should, or at least you should tell, but you should have very little. You have more, and somebody else is willing to sell for Bitcoin. You give him Bitcoin, you buy from him.
Okay, so he has got the right. So how much? What is your exposure?
And do you think I'm stupid to say that?
But at least you have got exposure, right? Okay, so that itself reveals quite a lot.
So what?
No, you are not answering the question.
I am answering. I have answered the question. You are distracting the point by asking me what my exposure to Bitcoin is. There is no relevance to his question.
No, you are not answering to his question. That's why I asked a question. To convince the audience that okay, you are not lying.
See, you have to understand the nature of Bitcoin. Here is the thing. There is something called a private key. You can by heart it and you can feed it into a wallet. Only you will do it.
Let's say I have a client who makes let's say 10 lakhs of payment every month,
Mhm.
and I want to receive that money as Bitcoin.
Mhm.
But if the government says Bitcoin is banned,
Mhm.
then how will I continue business?
You cannot continue business with that client under that political regime at that point of time.